This is the Precept, and it's the future of Polestar. This car is a manifesto. It's a statement of intent, a declaration, maybe even a warning to other manufacturers that this small startup from Sweden means some serious business.
The word precept means a rule intended to regulate behavior or thought. And for its next generation of cars, Polestar intends to follow the rules of design laid out by the Precept. This concept is a blueprint for their future.
And the future looks bright because Polestar has confirmed they will build this car. It's going into production. And that's great news, not just for Polestar fans, but for fans of automotive design in general. Because it's gorgeous. Just look at it. It's all swooping lines, muscular haunches, and sharp creases. It also has a 3.1 meter long wheelbase and a low roofline with 22-inch wheels and the general proportions of a supercar. And speaking of supercars, check this out. It's even got doors like a supercar. Before I show you inside, let me show you some of the finer exterior details on the Precept, because there's lots to look at on this car. Let's start with the front. These Thor's hammer headlights have historically been shared between Polestar and Volvo, but on the Precept, they've evolved. The Thor's hammer has now split into two, which is significant because it shows that Polestar are moving away from the mothership, both in terms of their embracing electrification, but also in terms of their design. The other thing you'll notice is this lower section. It looks like carbon fiber, but it's not. It's actually made from flax, which is a plant material which they normally use to create linen. This is all down to Polestar embracing sustainable materials. More on those in just a second. Aerodynamics is obviously a massive part of any electric car, and that includes the Precept. And to that end, Polestar have installed a couple of really clever touches, like this front wing, which you can't see from the front, but from this angle, you can see there's a hole in the bonnet. That gap channels free-flowing air over the surface of the car to help minimize drag, and therefore, in theory, improve range. Also, it doesn't have traditional wing mirrors. It has cameras installed into these side fins. On top of that, you also get a really flush finished glass house and flush door handles. The idea being, again, to minimize disruption of air. Up here is a pod, which you might think isn't very good for minimizing drag, but I'll tell you what it is good for: housing sensors, specifically LiDAR. This LiDAR sensor works in conjunction with the smart zone at the front and two additional smart zones at the sides, with the idea being that the Precept has a good visual awareness of its surroundings, which should facilitate autonomous driving. Let's talk some more about this roof, actually, because the sunroof is absolutely enormous. I think it's the biggest sunroof I've seen, especially from a single pane of glass on any car. And what's remarkable is that it doesn't have a beam connecting the C-pillar. In fact, there isn't a C-pillar, there isn't a B-pillar, it's just one swooping coupe shape. The advantage of not having a beam back here is twofold. Firstly, it gives more headroom to rear passengers, which is important. And secondly, it also lets in a ton more light. And it also proves that the Precept looks amazing from any angle, front, sides, above, and especially at the rear, where that single blade of light just flows across the entire width of the rear of the car. It looks sensational. Even these, look at that, you've got a charging status LED on the side of the car.
That interior is arguably as jaw-dropping as the exterior. For this, Polestar uses materials from B-Comp, which produces natural fiber composites that are more sustainable than traditional plastic or animal-based products. It includes 3D knitted fabric for the seats made from recycled bottles, interior plastics infused with waste cork products, and carpets derived from recycled fishing nets. This is not only less wasteful than traditional car materials, these materials are also said to be 50% lighter, which could improve efficiency, have better crash behavior, which could make cars safer, and reduce vibrations by 250%.
And even though it's all recycled and sustainably sourced, it's really quite premium in here. I'm not sitting here thinking, oh, I wish I had leather or wool. All of those old school materials just feel a bit like yesterday's technology. I mean, look at it. Look at the ambient lighting in here. It's gorgeous, every single inch of it. The funniest part is that what they've done is taken stuff that you've thrown away, repackaged it in a premium product, and then they're about to charge you through the nose for it. So bravo, Polestar. I'm all on board with that, by the way. A few practical points. In the back of the car, headroom is okay. I'm 5'11". I'm not feeling claustrophobic. There's no transmission tunnel in the middle, so I've got loads of leg room in here. It looks gorgeous, so I feel comfortable. And again, the materials just look absolutely phenomenal. There's a center console with a volume adjustment and a play and pause button, so you can control the infotainment system, use it as an armrest. There's a bit of cubby space down here, so all the practical side of things is taken care of. There's one really interesting thing that I've just spotted behind me though. There is a Polestar holographic module, and the purpose of that is to cast a hologram of the Polestar logo rotating just behind my head. Why? I have no idea, but it looks cool. And the module itself also has the coordinates of the Polaris star, which is what Polestar are named after. Up front, the cabin is arguably just as impressive. I love the look of this dashboard. It's got this horizontal light bar running across the full width, which looks amazing, and yet more ambient lighting, which again is dimmable, so you can have it brightly lit to look amazing or have it darker so it's more comfortable to drive in. You also have these two little screens on the side of the doors for your wing cameras. This rear view mirror isn't a real mirror because there's a bulkhead at the back of the car, so you can't see back there, but the camera works quite well. And then on top of that, you've got all the infotainment you'd probably ever need. The infotainment system in the Polestar 1 and Polestar 2 were incredible, and I have no doubt that the Precepts will be as well. But there are a couple of noticeable differences in this car. It features eye tracking and gesture recognition. In other words, what they want to do is keep the screen as simple and uncluttered as possible when you're driving, but as soon as you look at the screen, other options will become available. Or if you put your hand near it, thus, then you get extra options on board. The idea being that it's nice and simple when you don't need it, but with all the information when you do. Fingers crossed, they can pull it off so it works really well in the real world.
Speaking of the real world, Polestar has yet to reveal any actual information on how the Precept might drive. There are no range or performance targets, but it will go head-to-head with the Tesla Model S, Audi e-tron GT, and Porsche Taycan, so it should be fast and be able to travel for long distances.
So that is the Polestar Precept, the concept. Although, as I've said, Polestar have promised to build this car. They're putting it into production. The internet has spoken and Polestar have listened. They're gonna make it. I feel like this is the car that Batman would drive if he went vegan. Would it look like this in its final form? Well, Polestar say it'll be pretty damn close, which is great news for me and you. Maybe not so great news for the rest of the industry. Watch this space.